KFC chips, when they're on point, fuck, man. I could just tap that fucking salt into my veins. So delicious.
Gents,
Yes.
I finally pressed record.
Woo! I mean, finally. God.
I know, right?
Jeez.
We've been talking for a while.
Are we doing the food episode? Because I'm down.
Having just finished food, tonight we were eating Red Rooster, which, you know, if you're Australian, you probably don't know if you're not.
And even then, you may not know because they're not exactly everywhere.
Don't tell the listeners what I eat. They don't need to know that sort of stuff.
Eat ass.
He eats only foie gras.
That's why he is
None
what
of
he
their
eats.
business. I'm like quiet. I photosynthesize.
He just climbs to the top of a tree and releases spores.
Release spores. Sometimes
Oh god, we're in The Last of Us.
not even from the top of a tree.
Well, they, the crypto bloody whatever's, the cipher lines, I don't know. They got the fucking weird word.
Okay. On that note, welcome to the Finally Press Record podcast. I'm Pat.
I'm Stubby.
I'm trying to think of what the fucking mushrooms are called in
Yeah, right.
Oh,
It's,
fucking-
I know it starts with a
Cordyceps.
C.
Cordyceps! Thank
Yes!
you, and I'm
Get
Nettie.
in.
The Nettie News Network has another breaking story. So last time we had news of unfortunate news with Dan and his penis
Are
exploding.
you trying to make this a thing?
And
I told him
we
about that, by the way, when I went to meet his son.
only the one son, unfortunately. He's got, you know.
What do you mean, unfortunately? He has a beautiful daughter as well.
But he didn't get those 2 extra kids that he really wanted because his dick exploded. But we have some good news. The gangrene has passed. He's chopped off all the bits that don't work and he's recovering very well. He does have to tape it when he pees. It goes in his face because it goes in 4 directions now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't facepalm harder.
But also, Mario. Have you heard the Mario news? The new Nintendo news?
Am I gonna slap you?
He got a C-section, and he's given birth to a handsome baby boy. Mario's.
You know what? I would say, who the hell invited this guy? But it was me.
Mario's new baby, Guido. He's
sorry.
the new
Can
mascot of
I
Nintendo.
just say, this is this moments like this are the one point where I'm like, maybe doing an unscripted podcast is a bad idea.
This is all scripted. I wrote this. This was in my news notes.
Well, then you're not reading it very well.
New section.
No, the worst thing is he is
This
reading
is the
it
new
very
section.
well.
Oh,
This is
what,
our-
he included all the stutters and the
Every
ums and
single one.
Every single every single podcast has to have the Nettie News Network going beforehand. The Triple
The
N.
Nettie News Network.
And now with the weather, Stubby.
Cloudy with a chance of fucking up Nettie.
It's not looking good, people. The forecast dark.
The forecast calls
Very dark.
The forecast calls for rain.
Yeah, I've shaken like 6 magic 8 balls and they all said try again later.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get into it proper. Shut the fuck up, Nettie. And you can speak, okay? Because the last time I told you to shut the fuck up, you stopped talking
Yeah.
for like
And
10
then you
minutes.
like sign languaged us for like 10 minutes and we didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, I wanted you guys to be punished.
Oh yeah, it was really punishing.
Oh, well, now we know how to get the reprieve we deserve.
I was just gonna say that.
Who
Alright,
knows if I'm going to listen every time?
look, so we have come to the table today
That's tactless.
with the
Breaking news. Pat's going to say something. Go.
Oh my god, I'm gonna belt you.
fucking hell. You know what the worst part about it is?
It hasn't started yet. That's the problem.
But also, every time he does it, it completely derails my train of thought.
Yeah, I can't imagine why.
I have ADHD, you dipshit.
Yeah, Grant. Insensitive prick.
Oh.
So, at time of recording, because who knows when the fuck this is going to come out.
True.
One day. The PlayStation 5 Pro was just announced.
Yes, it was.
And
It
if
really was.
credible leakers are to be believed, the Switch successor is just over the hill to be announced.
tomorrow apparently.
Really?
Yeah,
I heard-
19th is like the date that everyone's throwing around. for
I
the
heard
announcement.
early October, but
and also a bunch of developers were invited to Nintendo of America closed doors presentation today. So apparently CEO of Respawn and the Limited Run Games, that was when I went, this is bullshit. Why the hell are Limited Run Games getting invited to NOA?
Well, I mean, Limited Run have released a lot for the Switch.
Yeah, they're distributors. They're not developers, though.
They
They have a
limited
development
amount.
company, but
No, they just do distribution.
Yeah, they only do some stuff.
thank you for that.
Some
Such
stuff.
credible
Some
contribution.
stuff.
It's in the name.
Okay, so the big elephant in the room is
Nettie.
the price. Well, yeah, sorry.
You fat shaming bitch.
That fat Nettie.
They're talking about you, penis. It's all good.
What a hog!
Damn.
No, that fat price tag.
It is a fat price tag.
We're at 1,300 Australian dollars.
What's that in American?
So in American, it's $700. It's $699.
Yeah.
What's that in pesos?
I don't think they gave pesos. But anyway, it probably won't be sold in what they consider a third world country for at least like 3 or 4 years or something like that.
And even then, who knows if it'll have the same internals? It could just be like one of those Temu things that's like, it looks like a PS5.
But plays NES games.
Yeah. Like 17 copies of Super Mario Brothers.
Absolutely.
So, on the topic of prices, again, credible leakers. So we don't know if it's true or not, but this person has leaked a lot of things that have come true. Pitch the Switch Successors price tag at $550 which for us is about 800 Australian, which would bring it in line with current PS5 and Xbox price tags. What do we feel about the price of modern consoles?
Okay, so, well, I think the whole reason that Sony slapped this price tag on it was like, scalpers were pushing PS5s when they first came out at over 1,000. We can beat that. And you know what? Someone who goes, I need to play GTA 6 in its highest fidelity on day one is probably going to buy one of these things.
And look, I am, like, my main source of playing video games is my PS5 and my Switch.
Well, it's got to be one or the other.
Well,
Collectively, you're saying like the stuff he plays the most, like you're not on your Xbox or your PC.
well, I
doesn't have an Xbox.
have an Xbox.
which makes my
I
comment
have
stand.
an Xbox One S that has been turned on once to play Rock Band 4 with you,
Yeah.
and not since I stole it from work.
Sorry,
Actually,
work.
I was given it with a wink.
I like getting given things with a wink.
Redistribution of company assets.
It has an asset tag on it.
Oh, dear.
I love assets with a wink.
But I haven't been a PC gamer for a long time.
Yeah.
I have a couple of games that I don't have a PC. I have a Mac.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. It's got nothing to do with like working in software development or anything like that.
Not at all.
But I say both because primarily like my Switch is Zelda, which is my favorite video game franchise, and Mario Kart, which is one of the few games my wife plays with me.
Yeah.
And then pretty much everything else. Like, if I can get it on the PS5, I get it on the PS5. That's my main source. That's where the majority of my library is. I'm a trophy hunter at heart.
Oh yeah,
Like, that's where I'm at.
So your casual gaming is on the Switch, is what you're saying.
I wouldn't call Zelda casual gaming.
I would.
This is
Okay.
a conversation for another podcast.
That's fucking start. But my point is, and I've said this too, if the PS5 was for what's being presented to us, which is like I upgraded from the PS4 to the PS4 Pro when it happened, and back then it wasn't a huge price leap, and I got a good trade-in deal on my PS4. If that was the same scenario, I wouldn't be criticizing the PS5, and I'd be getting one as soon
Pro,
as I
you mean?
could.
The
The PS5 Pro.
Pro. Yeah, right.
But for what it is, and I find it, this is something I said to you the other day,
Stubby.
Grant, is that you look at a lot of online content creators and news outlets and stuff like that, and the first thing they turn to is inflation, right?
Oh sure.
And if you take consoles like
The PlayStation 3.
the PlayStation 3, the Neo Geo, the 3DO, adjusted
Two
for,
of those three were failures, by the way. But anyway.
and the one that wasn't took a while to not be.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I have a very distinct memory of going to running a midnight launch for the PS3 and watching people pissing in the street because they'd been there for hours and then return the console the next day.
Oof.
Yeah.
Right? But I digress. The point is that a lot of them will say, adjusted for inflation, this price is reasonable.
Yeah.
But the key word there is inflation. And like I said to Stubby, inflation is more than just adjusted for. Inflation is a real problem that people are dealing with currently. And in a world where inflation is at its highest, that price point knocks out 99% of your audience to sell to.
Yeah.
Because people aren't dropping $1,300 on a console when the cost of living is so high.
Yeah.
Should we discuss what's in the new console so we can have because I've got a preconceived notion about how I feel about it and why. But I reckon we should have a discussion of what's in it and why it's supposedly so expensive and what's not in it as well, because that I think is important.
Well, okay, the first thing to know is that the CPU is still the same.
Okay.
So is it
So we have
is it a Ryzen chipset that's in it?
So these are the key features as taken from the PlayStation blog. So
I know it's AMD.
a
Yeah, right.
upgraded GPU.
Yeah, GPU. But what about the CPU?
So I don't know. I'm just going to go through the list.
Okay. Well,
So we've
you're
got.
reading a propaganda thing, man. Go to a Digital Foundry thing.
Well, you wanted to know what was.
Propaganda.
You go to PlayStation because they're going to be
They're gonna lie
look at
about
it.
the specs.
It's going to have lasers
This
and it'll
isn't-
fucking
what did
shoot your
Sega
enemies
do?
down from a distance.
What did Sega have?
Sega.
Megaflops? What was it?
Oh, no, blast processing.
Blast processing.
Yeah, you know what? This has got ultra teraflops.
I don't
You know what that means? We don't know either, but buy it.
I feel like if they lied, that would cause them so much more trouble.
But,
Okay.
but this is the thing. The CPU is still exactly the same. I
All right.
know that.
So the PS5 Pro. PS5.
Your PS5, right?
Gents, the PS5 Pro.
Don't worry, Pat. I won't stoop to Grant's level. You're all good, man.
Grant!
Grant's level.
Oh, Grant.
Grant! Oh, yes.
Fucking
Okay.
heard me.
So
I'm a proper woman, okay?
I had actually forgotten about this. This is how far from my brain this has been. As an avid PS5 player,
Yeah.
our buddy Cerny refers to the big three, and these are the big
Yes.
three reasons to upgrade.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Right. The first is an upgraded GPU. Wow, it's the first on the list again.
Yeah, I know.
How
Big
much more
surprise.
upgraded is it? Sorry, just to
so
stop you at the first point.
Yeah.
PS5 Pro has 67% more compute units and a 28% faster memory than a standard PS5.
20%. Is that a lot? Do you think? Because as the
So-
techie among us.
Well,
their reasoning behind it is that it basically will give ray tracing 46% more essentially lines to draw.
Oh,
Basically, the overall thing, and it's worth noting that the PS5 isn't out, so we don't know how much of these
PS5 Pro.
Sorry, PS5 Pro is not out, which means we don't know. It's the same thing like when Apple launches a new product. They're going to say it's X% this, X% that. Those are numbers. We don't know what the benchmarks are that were used.
Yeah.
It's not until it gets into Digital Foundry's hands and we see how real life these numbers are. But basically, 45% faster
45, I thought it
gameplay
was 46.
rendering
My
as
bad.
a result.
Okay.
That 1% is a difference, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
For some people it is, I suppose.
The
sadly.
second big
Yeah.
thing is that it's going to have a hard drive that's double the size. It goes up to 2 terabyte,
Okay.
which was an upgrade that you can do on a PS5 by yourself anyway, and it's
Yeah.
actually not that expensive anymore.
No. On a
and
PC, it's even less so.
the third big thing is that with artificial intelligence and the upgraded GPU and stuff like that.
I love this. I love
right?
this. I love this. What is it called? What is it called? What is it called, Pat? What is it called?
I don't actually remember.
PlayStation
It's basically it's DSSR.
PSSR. It's
Oh, yeah,
pisser.
Yeah.
It's an absolute pisser.
Yeah.
Right.
PSSR is
Outside of that, there is the
I'm gonna giggle like an idiot all night from that.
there's DLSSR as well, which is the PC version of exactly what they're doing. It's AI aided upscaling.
It's
Right.
just not Nvidia. They don't want to. They don't want to pay the trademark.
right,
Yeah.
right.
which is going to let you upscale, and they actually took I don't know, like this was something I found out about afterwards because I haven't seen the box for a PS5 Slim, is they took the 8K label off the PS5 Slim.
Yes.
Because the original PS5 never reached that.
Yeah.
Right.
The PS5 Pro will, apparently.
They thought games would be programmed with it, and it turns out, which is something that I will go into a little later with their so-called, in inverted commas, upgrade. Because at the end of the day, there's already been a couple of companies that have said, we don't care what Sony says. Our programs can only run up to 4K at 60 frames. They cannot go any higher.
That's the thing, though.
That's the engine.
I agree with you, but that's where this pisser. But the what is it? Side sampling rendering or whatever it's called. Like,
yeah, something like that.
The actual technology has been in PCs for a while, and it doesn't matter what the game engine's designed to do. It literally will, like, it's the same as like a TV upscaling a DVD to Blu-ray. It's a much more advanced version of that. It's not going to look as good as something that was programmed at 8K, but it will still generate an 8K resolution.
So, and also before we go too much further, let's also big hats off and round of applause to Sony for trying to show us the difference on a compressed as fuck YouTube video with side-by-side comparisons and zoom-ins that looked like $1,200 for this.
Yeah, look, that's the thing. And I think this is it, right? They have flopped the marketing because as soon as the price point was announced, no one took it seriously. And we're not going to know.
Oh, I think we did take it very seriously.
Well, I don't think we're really
Not
going
in the direction Sony wanted.
Yeah, I think that's when we took it as seriously as we ever going to.
As I pointed to, though, I don't think we will know whether or not any of it is justified until it's in the hands of someone other than Sony.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, the only company that they let play the PS5 Pro was CNET. And here's, like, at the end of the day, everything that I've just said is all, and PC Master Race, I've got one sitting opposite me in Nettie. It's all stuff that's been on PCs for ages. It's all stuff that can be achieved with a PC at a cheaper price point.
Yeah.
And Sony have now taken their first-party exclusives and put them on PC.
Yeah.
And so the question I pose to you is, what's going to happen to consoles?
Yeah. Well, I don't think consoles are necessarily going to go away. I think the three big ones have a very clear, well, maybe not a very clear. Let me rewrite that.
I think one of them have
the
a clear...
I think the three of them have a bit of a roadmap for where they want their future business to go. I think Nintendo's one is quite clear.
Yes,
I think that one's very obvious.
That's where I agree with you.
Microsoft, I think, are still heading towards we are just going to make Xbox an app.
Yeah.
And I don't...
God, I hate that.
See, but at the same time, like, for their business model, with Game Pass being as... Let's be honest, it is as good as it is, as far as a digital distribution option for people. And it's essentially like you can pay the exact same price for it or Netflix, but the difference is that it's games, so it's interactive. And yeah, there's going to be some kind of like mid to garbage kind of games on there, but so's goddamn Netflix, let's be honest. So, you know, it's... And between the two, I know which one I'd rather have. Like, it's very obvious. I mean, I've even got it on my current Xbox.
My opinion
totally.
of it...
No, totally. I am. I don't care.
I know you are.
I love it. I absolutely love my Xbox. It's not my main, but I love it.
My opinion for what Sony should have done is go for a smaller price point. Because I feel like, while high, even just, like, for us in Australia, $1,000 round figure... would have been an easier bullet to bite when the existing consoles are $800, right? Take the L on the console and drum up marketing and make PlayStation Plus more like Game Pass and get people, like, generate money there.
I have a simple solution, though, that would have fixed everything.
Which is,
and I'm really, really sorry. It almost feels like as if I'm stonewalling poor fucking Nettie.
You're not. No, I'm just happy listening.
Say it. Daniel's line.
Fuck you, Daniel.
Oh my god!
Is that what? Is that the one?
Okay,
Yeah,
apparently
sure, why
Nettie's not even happy to be here.
God damn, he's not even happy to be
I'm
here.
always happy.
Okay, you know what they could have, like, and this would have been the easiest thing in the world. Don't call it the PS5 Pro. Call it the PlayStation Legacy. And make it backwards compatible with PS1, 2, and 3, and 4 discs. And
There's
make it a
problem with
whole...
that, though.
What?
There's no disk drive.
Yeah. Put a fucking disc drive in it for a start.
Oh yeah, fuck. I
Right?
forgot.
Now
about
it
that.
is also the same disc drive that's in the slim version of the PS5, like the current version of the PS5. And I have a feeling that one of the reasons why they are like making so few of the disc drives is so you do cannibalize your slim in order to make the Pro a full unit, and then when you try to go and sell your PS5 Slim, everyone looks at it and goes, it's clearly broken. And no one's going to want to buy it, so that knocks out the second-hand
I
market.
don't know about that. I don't know if the Slim's been on the market long enough to generate that, because, like, looking at, like, just pure numbers, not many people, like, switched a standard PS5 for a Slim. And so you'd probably just have the market of people who didn't have a PS5 that wanted a PS5 when the Slim happened to come out. Now...
We're also
like-
talking about Australia, where we got very few PS5s for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
this is very
fluked
true.
out because I pre-ordered one on my honeymoon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Over breakfast with my wife, where she said the famous words that Stubby loves so much,
Fuck
do it,
yeah.
you're a coward.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
that's a good one.
See, whereas I was in a very advantageous position with my work, where I was able to get one on day one. I sacrificed it because of an issue that I had with an order, and I ended up just selling the one that I was supposed to get as as someone else's. I got one a little later on down the track. I played it 4 or 5 times, and I hated it. Then I put it in a box. Spider-Man 2 came out, and I finished that in a weekend. And then I put it back in the box, and I gave it to a friend.
But you loved that game.
And I haven't missed it. No, I didn't.
I remember you were like,
Yeah,
you were so happy.
yeah. I was so happy. Remember that point where I was like, "Oh my god, I get to play as Venom! Ah, oh look at this! Well, he has the same 4 hits. Okay,
Lasted all
that's
of 5
interesting.
minutes.
Oh, and now I'm playing as Spider-Man again. Oh, okay, yeah.
Spider-Man.
So that
thank you.
was cool. Yeah, Spider-Man. My bad. Yeah. Look, I have a lot of problems with that fucking game. Don't get me wrong.
That game is.
The first half I thought was freaking great. Good
Yeah,
pacing.
I
The
feel-
second half is just rushed as shit.
Yeah, and they couldn't decide if they wanted to do a King in Black storyline or anything else.
Or Planet of the Symbiotes. Let's do both. You know, like Gore the fucking God Killer in Thor.
We don't talk about Thor: Love and
yeah.
Thunder.
Well, this is the thing. It's the same principle. Let's
Anyway.
just squish the best, longest storyline.
We had to bring up
Wow.
a shit movie just before we let Nettie speak.
Fucking movie sucks. My
Oh, come on,
balls.
man.
All right, Nettie, what do you
That
for?
movie
What do you?
fucking sucks.
Okay,
Yeah, look,
okay,
it is pretty bad.
okay. Take Thor: Love and Thunder out of your brain.
No.
Just remember
I'll
the
leave it there
goats.
to fuel. I hate this fucking goat.
Where do you fit in this conversation?
I think consoles are going to go the way of the dodo eventually, and I think pretty much everything will just be some sort of PC. I think even consoles, I think Sony and like Microsoft, especially if they're going the app direction. I think the only one that it won't happen with is Nintendo, and if it does, it'll probably take them a while, but
They still don't know how the internet.
yeah. But I think that's also because Japanese markets are weird. Like the fact that PSPs
Totally different world.
were exactly, like they had PSP cafes in Japan for the longest time. Like
yeah.
that's an anomaly. So I think
I mean, Monster Hunter like rode that console into absolute
Glory.
The other,
Yeah, totally.
the other thing is
One
that
game.
if you look at
in one country.
yeah.
the respect shown to video games in Japan,
Yeah.
it's the whole, like, there is a whole backbone of gaming in Japan supported by secondhand stores where you can walk in and buy something like it's brand new
Yeah, it's fucking
that has
awesome.
had 3 owners,
Yeah.
which is wild.
That's the same with like their miniatures. Like when I went and bought fucking Monster Hunter miniatures there, they were all secondhand and they all looked brand new. Like
I went to one of the secondhand stores. Everything that was not boxed looked immaculate except for the piss yellow
like sun bleaching.
Sun bleaching that happens inevitably. Like it's got nothing to do with poor quality. But like I bought my copy of Twilight Princess on the GameCube, which is a limited run game, not from Limited Run. A limited production game.
It'd probably be the wrong fucking region if it was.
Fucking immaculate.
Yeah.
And like it's just a whole different ball game over there.
Totally.
Well, I mean, you've seen like the 2-3 odd dozen Sega Saturn games that I bought while I was over there. Every one of them looks like an absolute mirror, like just polished.
Totally.
It's so crazy.
The other crazy thing about their treatment of consoles, though, is that there are a surprising number of people in Japan that will buy a console to play one game and then get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like, space is such a commodity over there, but like, there was a YouTuber I was following who wanted the Dragon Quest Nintendo Switch. And when he went to the store, a week after the game had come out, it was sold out everywhere. The Switch was sold out everywhere. Someone was trading in that Switch because they bought it to play the game and they were done with it.
Interesting.
Was that wood?
It was wood.
Yeah, I knew it.
I got wood. But yeah, it and like I saw it over there when I was in the game shops too. Like there was someone trading in Baldur's Gate 3, which had literally just come out on
Like,
the PS5, physically only in Japan of all places.
Yeah.
The guy bought it, finished it, returned it.
That's weird.
Well, didn't return it, traded it in.
Well, but that's the thing, right? So, like, that's why I think Nintendo will probably, I mean, and they make money anyway, whereas I think Sony and Microsoft have been really stumbling on what to even do with their consoles.
Well, Nintendo's also the only company that makes a console and the games. Like,
that's very good
where
point.
Sony has companies that they've bought that makes games for
I mean, so
and
does
same with
Xbox.
Xbox.
Yeah.
But like Nintendo themselves, I mean, it's not even an arguable thing. They make the games that you buy the console for.
Yeah. Yeah. Except for Pokemon, where they,
But they have a 33% stake.
I think
they use Game
the
Freak.
only one separate to that was isn't Astrobot made by Sony?
No, it's made by not Media Molecule. It's made by.
It's made by one of their companies.
It's made by one of their companies.
But, I mean, they do have Sony affiliated companies like what is it? The guys who do God of War, what are they called?
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica and stuff like that. But like their fucking God of Wars are purchasable on PC now, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Last of Us-
Insomniac are
and,
now, putting Spider-Man on PC.
yeah,
and so,
like so.
you know.
I honestly think that like consoles are going to go away, and you know what? I'm fucking fine with that. I haven't really played a console in a long time. The only reason I did was because I played Ragnarok on a friend's PlayStation because it wasn't out on PC at the time.
Yet.
And, and so I was like, I really want to play God of War Ragnarok, but I hate exclusivity and all that bullshit. I fucking hate it when companies are like, we'll pay you money and you can keep it on this for a year and then you can put it on everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why smaller companies do that, but I want to play Witchfire and I don't want to fucking download Epic Games or whatever it is, whatever it's on.
Yeah.
Well,
I want it on Steam.
Well, that's
But-
the thing. Like, they use that as like the honey to draw
Absolutely,
you in.
yeah.
So, I mean, look, I don't think you can really be too angry at a company for having
I
exclusives.
think there's
No, I'm very mad. I hate exclusives. It's shit. You'll get more long-term revenue if you just have it on it, especially if you're fucking Sony and Microsoft. Like, again, I understand indie studios, if they've got someone who's like, hey, we'll, fund your game.
For Sony, I would say that there is an argument to be made for it, but for Xbox, I don't believe so, because they want to bring you into their ecosystem. They want you to be on Game Pass. They want you to be a part of that Xbox community, because once you're kind of in, like, look at what happened with me. I mean, holy shit, who the hell would have thought I would have ever have been an Xbox shill? Look, I'm still a Nintendo boy. I will always be a Nintendo boy.
You will, yeah.
But like, as far as like for the big ones, man, that Game Pass hooked me like big time.
Sure.
And I went the complete opposite. I was Xbox all the way. Well, I was Sony for PS1 and PS2, and then Xbox 360 era, I went 360.
Yeah.
And a big part of that
I think that was
price.
a lot of people too.
And then one day I found a PS3 Slim cheap where I was working at the time, and I was like, so many Japanese role-playing games.
You're a very specific
Yeah.
market, which
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of people who
I think-
like have that feeling as well.
I agree with you. I think exclusivity, like, it breeds a like, it kind of goes against the fundamentals of gaming, like, as a community. But
Goes against, or does it play into? Because
It used
the
to
whole
play into
idea,
it.
I was just gonna say, the whole idea of like a lot of games is the competition aspect, which is you're trying to finish the game, you're trying to beat the bad guy, you're trying to beat your friends and all that kind of stuff. So isn't it
but
kind
what
of
if
playing
your-
into it?
What if your friends can't play the game?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's why cross-play
I'm
is such
just,
a big thing now.
I'm just
No,
saying
but
it's like an
that's the
analogy.
bit that I think goes against it, right? Like,
Cross-platform is, however, a very different thing.
Well, okay, so it used to be that the companies fucking loved the tribalistic element of we've only got this game on this console.
You were
So
either Team Sega or Team Nintendo.
Exactly, right? And then that continued through like Microsoft and Sony and
And if
Nintendo
you're-
have always fucking been a part of
If
it.
you're
but-
interested in this, there's a lot of great documentaries on it, but I highly recommend playing Hyperdimension Neptunia, which is a very, very fan servicey JRPG game, which is the console wars.
Console wars.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Especially the PS3. I think there's 2 Hyper Neptunia games on PS3.
Just all of them, but you can pick out. Oh, that's meant to be Sega. Oh, that's
That's meant to be
Microsoft.
loved,
That's
yeah.
Sony.
I think it also becomes difficult because Sony and Microsoft just aren't making, like you said, exclusive games anymore.
yeah,
that
well,
are
actually,
like
the content that they've been releasing has been very, very weak.
none of them are console purchases. Like it's all. I mean, that being said, like I fucking love God of War Ragnarok, but they're just clearly not making enough money for that to be. You know, and there are other good games on both consoles, I'm sure, but Game Pass has nothing on Steam or
Well,
good old games
that
or
leads
like
into what I was going to bring up next,
Right.
right? Which is there are two paths I could see this going down.
yeah.
One, which is the path I kind of wish we had gone down, which is modularity,
Yeah.
like being able to upgrade a console without completely replacing it.
You mean like the 32X?
We don't talk about that.
Oh, you mean like the HD DVD drive of the 360?
That's not an upgrade.
Oh, you mean the Mega CD?
Yes, actually.
Oh, you mean the expansion pack for the N64?
I was gonna say that.
But
Yeah, it's never happened.
yeah, and
Love you.
that's a little bit sad, right?
Well,
Because
I-
the console concept fills a gap in the market that will be gone if it goes the way of apps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is that if you, and I mean, it's not as black and white now, but the idea of a console versus a PC is I'm a parent or I'm a person who is not the most computer savvy. If I go and buy a console and I buy a game for that console, it works,
Simple, yeah.
right? If I buy a game, here are my minimum requirements. Here are my recommended requirements.
Some of these words don't match up.
Yeah.
My one's an AMD. Why does this one say NVIDIA? What's that mean?
Yeah, and that's not going to go. But what I think we have space for, and I did broach this with you guys prior to the podcast, is that I think, particularly after the success of SteamOS and the Steam Deck, is Steam should make a console. Valve should make a console.
You don't remember the Steam boxes?
That wasn't a console. That was a streaming unit. That required you to have a powerful PC in your house. I had one, but if you had the Steam unit or something like that, like whatever name that.
Piston. I think
Right.
that's what they were calling it at one point.
Yeah,
Piston?
Project Piston.
Project Piston.
But if you had the Steam
That's where
unit,
the pisser comes from.
right? Steam, as Nettie just mentioned, massive library,
Yeah. Constant sales.
right? And their
Everything
sales
is-
are insane.
Everything
Not
is
to
way
mention, you
cheaper
don't
than
like
any of the console
they
stores.
ditched disk drives
Yeah.
and optical media so long ago,
Yeah.
and it didn't put a dent in PC sales.
It made it more
Right.
saleable.
Because there is, like, you have Steam, and Steam is a very easy marketplace to use, but it's not the only marketplace you have to use.
No.
And I think Nintendo will stay a console and stay relevant as a console for as long as they live. Mostly because they make their own games. And getting rid of the console is shooting yourself in the foot to spite your face.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the Switch is also the only like console that's been making money since day one.
Yeah.
Like everyone they sell, they actually make money.
Yeah.
So, man,
And-
considering that it's now like if it's not already crossed that threshold, it's like the most sold like console ever.
Yeah. And honestly,
that's big money.
Oh, it's been
And-
I don't blame
and
them.
the
Like, they're doing well.
the brand recognition of Nintendo for parents that have kids under the age of 12.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think it's actually ever been as strong as it is now. I
Yeah,
would say
but
it
that's
is
the thing is that
strongest now.
they've built it to that.
That's so
Right?
good to see.
And Nintendo being Nintendo, they're 5 to 10 years behind wherever the other consoles have progressed to. They're
In hardware.
even if we go to the stage where everything's just an app and they decide to go down that route, they're not going to get there for 10 more years.
Oh
right?
god, it's gonna be way more.
Right? At minimum. Whereas I could see it happening with Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah.
But if Sony and Microsoft go, then there's going to be a hole in the market for people who want to play COD at 4K or 8K or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, see, I mean,
I don't
also,
think
we've,
so.
I think we have to talk about what the actual definition of a console is, though, because to be honest,
It just-
we only actually have one console right now, which is the Switch. You can take it out of the box, put a cartridge in it, and it will play. You can't do that with an Xbox, and you can't do that with a PS5.
Yeah, because they're basically PCs.
Exactly, but that's the thing. They are not. They are by definition not consoles because they do not operate on their own outside of a network, which is what a console is supposed to do.
There are a lot of games on the Switches that require you to do updates, though, that you won't be able to do without an internet connection.
For the game to work, as long as you don't have an active Nintendo ID on the system, they will have the lowest requiring update on the cartridge to make it play. The only time when that doesn't work is when it's a game that is, by its nature, online only. Things like Fortnite, things like, which, I mean, doesn't come on cartridge anyway, but like Rocket League was available on cartridge. Overwatch was available on cartridge.
Fall Guys?
So,
Is Fall Guys available? on
I think Fall Guys has actually only been digital.
yeah, because
yeah.
that's a network.
So,
Yeah.
to answer your question, Stubby, because you know I'm a man of words, a
Many words.
home video game console is a video game console that is designed to be connected to a display device such as a television and an external power source as to play video games. While initial consoles were dedicated units with only a few games fixed into the electronic circuits of the system, most consoles since support the use of swappable game media either through game cartridges, optical discs, or through digital distribution to internal storage.
So PCs could be deemed a console.
Well, PCs are deemed a video game console. This is specifically a home video game console.
Which is also, I can already poke a hole in that because what would you call my Evercade?
Piece of shit.
Fuck you. Fuck
You know I love that thing. Shut up.
Damn straight. Anyway, I can plug that into a power bank. Doesn't need to have like a wall socket power.
It doesn't.
outlet.
It doesn't say that. It
No,
just
it
says
said
an
display.
external power source.
Okay. I thought it was an
display.
external power outlet.
And
so-
look, you can nitty gritty it. Like, let's just like
This is
like you're getting
semantics.
into semantics,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Tom and Jerry's, damn it.
right.
Oh,
Getting
fuck
up to
you.
semantics.
Oh.
But we have PlayStation, we have Xbox, we have Nintendo or Switch.
Yeah. But
those-
when the
those-
internet explodes because of the inevitable heat death of the planet, what one will still work?
none of them because
The
they'll all
Switch
be
will
fried
work.
and we'll all be
Yeah,
dead.
that's why I've got my
The
board
Switch
game.
will still work.
It's not a cockroach.
It will. It works. There's going to be more switches than humans, and that will be a
But
perfect
I think
world.
honestly though, I think breaking it down semantically doesn't serve any purpose. I think the overarching question is, and like there are questions that we've answered, is the PS5 Pro worth it? Probably not.
I think it depends on your situation.
No, I agree with Pat. I think it's probably not. I would even go
I do think
harder
it's
than that.
ill-conceived.
I think it's I think it's likely not even probably. I think the price tag is ridiculous. You can buy a very decent PC for that much
You
money.
can buy a car for that much.
You can
No,
fucking-
I think it's better defined as you can buy a better pre-built PC
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
that.
I mean, yeah.
No,
that
because
covers-
I'm arguing the semantics of it
Yeah.
because there are a lot of people that will say you can build a PC cheaper than that, but there's that build thing at the start, right?
I think that like is going away. I think people who it is like
I will never want to build a PC. Ever.
no. You like so. What I was going to say is there's a lot of outlets where you can just buy a PC from the people and you go, you build it for me. Here's sort of how I want it to work. I want it to be a work PC. I want it to be for music.
Yeah,
I want it to be for gaming, right? So,
I still classify those as pre-built, right? Like,
exactly.
It falls under the umbrella of a machine that you don't have to build yourself.
Exactly.
Right?
So
but a lot of people will be like, oh, but for $600, you can build a PC that rivals the PS5 Pro. Or, some arbitrary number, right? But
who do you think plays games? Like who the fuck do you think? Like, people our age, people a bit older, they will know how to get a PC. Like, it's not a big deal.
No, I know that. But the point I'm making is that when it comes down to a price tag, a PC that you build yourself will always be cheaper than a pre-built. So I'm making the specificity that a pre-built PC can be bought significantly cheaper that will achieve the same outcome.
That was a beautiful word, by the way.
What?
It was so beautifully said too. Specificity.
Specificity?
Who's a specificity?
Specificity's a word, you...
No, I know. I'm saying it's a beautiful word.
complimenting you.
I love how you said it. It was just, so spicy. Put it to music. Ding, da, ding, ding, da, ding, ding, da, ding.
But no.
Sorry, I know I totally derailed you.
I think
it's not even that. It's just that it, like, the way it was presented felt like
an attack.
you were making fun of me, and I'm like,
so sorry.
but I said it right.
I
No.
think
Seriously,
more about you than
I'm so
Brett.
sorry. I'm sorry if it came across.
You
that way.
derailed my ADHD, but my autism is very scared.
Yeah.
Well,
no, but I think even pre-built and self-built computers, I think both can do $1,200 much better than the PlayStation will probably do it. I think it's just that people know the Sony brand.
That's the thing I was going to
really-
and
say.
it will just work, right? And there are a lot of people with more money than sense.
Mm-hmm. There's a place called Dubai.
Well, it's not like even in
That's very
Australia,
specific.
Australia though, right? There are people with more money than sense. Someone very clearly comes to mind. That will just straight up, oh, it's the best. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's what I said.
Possibly in that
GTA
voice.
6 will be the one that ends up selling that console. I'm telling you now.
you're probably right. But I think what Sony and Microsoft will eventually just do is have a Alienware, like any PC brand that you can sort of just have a generic build of, and it's like, this is the Saber build or whatever. This is the Battalion build. I think Sony and Microsoft will just be like, this is our new PC. It plays like our old consoles, basically. I think that's what they're going to do.
The flip side of that coin that I could see happening is we see TVs go up in price and the performance power is pushed off to a TV, right? Because at the moment, you already have Xbox Game Pass as an app you can download on Samsung TVs.
Yep.
Right? You download it and it just uses the cloud infrastructure to play your games.
Which xCloud, I've got to say, is leaps and bounds ahead of other...
Yeah.
Like, xCloud is actually really good.
Yeah.
But, like, I could foresee them also doing a thing where, like, if you have certain, like, XTV, like, the part that falls down is, like, can you still buy your games? Because, like, Game Pass is a thing, but you don't have a say in what games are on Game Pass. If you want to play a specific game, you might need to buy it. And then...
Well, that's the same as Netflix as well. Like, a movie might go away next month that you don't get a chance
But the
to watch.
difference is that if a game, unless it's been delisted, if a game gets taken off Game Pass, you can still go buy that game on the Xbox store.
Yeah.
Right? But I could see them pushing off, like, rather than, oh, you need to have, like, cloud, which, I mean, as Microsoft, they might go that route. Could be like, if you have these TVs, you can download the game to your TV and, like, the performance power comes out of the TV.
Yeah.
And you're not streaming. I could see that as a future, too.
Especially with SSDs now being very compact, and you can have, like, 4 terabytes on something that's, like, the size of
Your
your
palm.
finger,
Yeah.
sort of thing, like, I mean, you can easily just have... One of the ideas that I always thought that they were going to do with the Switch was that they would upgrade the dock and make the dock, like, 4K output, and you would add... It would just have a CPU in there, or a GPU, to enhance the graphics,
Yeah,
and an SSD in it.
Yeah,
And it would fit inside the form of the dock that we already have.
Yeah, well, like that, like...
And it never happened.
I've long thought that, and we've had external GPUs in the PC market for a long time.
Yeah.
But I guess we came with 2 questions, which was, what's the future of consoles?
And
At
what
least
the
from what we
fuck's
see.
Sony?
And not even what the fuck Sony. It's just, is the PS5
Pro.
worth it? And
Yeah.
for anyone, I would say probably not at that price point.
Yeah, I mean, not even so much at the price point. I think for we can argue that there wasn't a huge jump between the PS4 and the PS4 Pro, hence why it was like a mid-generation like step. But it did introduce, albeit checkerboard, but it did introduce 4K gaming, right? And then the Xbox One X brought that into the Xbox like atmosphere as well. But this time around, all they're doing is they're saying, hey, you know how you have to swap between the performance mode and the fidelity mode? Well, now you don't have to. This will do both. So the sad thing is that it does both, not at the same fidelity or performance that one of those options does.
Can I just throw one more tinfoil hat thing in at the end, right?
Always, please do.
Like my whole business sense is tingling, right? So there's been this thing in the tech space. It's some people call it Australia tax, some people call it tech tax, but buying tech gear, particularly PC gear in Australia, is more expensive than it is in a lot of neighboring countries. And we're very close to a lot of countries that make the tech, so it's surprising that we get such a markup.
Not that close to China.
Well,
China makes it all, man.
regardless.
They make the Tech Tacs? I like the orange ones best.
Tic Tacs.
So, as we alluded to, our current gen consoles are $800, correct?
Yeah.
The PS5 Pro, a direct conversion rate is roughly, give or take, $1,050 from the American price, which means we're seeing a $250 price bump above that. Part of me is wondering, tinfoil hat,
Yeah.
we're selling a premium console. Do we need to give the market a premium price tag to make people think? Because there is a deep psychological notion in sales that if you put a big price tag on something, people think it's
going to be quality.
It's a quality product.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying that the PS5 Pro is or isn't. We don't have one. We can't say for sure. I don't want to pass judgment on it other than I think it's a ludicrous price until I've actually played one.
See, the other thing as well, I can't remember if it was $6.99 or if it was €7.99 euros in England, in the Europe, right? Now, in the Europe. So, okay, here is something that I don't know if it is a common knowledge thing, but Sony is still fighting for North America with Xbox. Xbox actually does have a really, good, big user base in North America, right? So Sony still thinks they have to fight in that region. In Japan, they really dropped the ball, and they're now fighting Nintendo for the Japan region. However, one region that Sony has absolutely had a stranglehold on since the PS2 is the entire PAL territory. And I think they know, regardless of what price tag they put on it, PAL territories will just buy something that has PlayStation slapped on it. And that's where they're going to try to make the majority of their money. They are trying to make it more attractive to those two regions that they feel they still have to fight for.
Yeah, look, it just seems...
That is speculation,
it's very interesting.
It's all speculation, but like if you drill it down further, right? The PS5 Slim with disc drive in America is $499.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a $200 price increase for them, basically. Right?
Yeah. So it's
right?
like what a less than 50%
right.
increase.
$499 in Australian dollars, $730 to $750.
Yeah.
So we get a $50 price increase.
Buy a couple of pieces of Warhammer with that.
Whatever. Like, I would argue that, you know, it's stayed pretty consistent, but we've had about a $50 price increase. $250 though? It's a lot. Especially when you're like, okay, well, you know, I like in America, like, it's $200 more, right? And I know that like this is skewed. Like our currencies are worth different things.
They are, yeah.
Right. But
dude, they started rioting when like games went from $60 to $70.
Yeah.
And meanwhile in Australia we're like, bitch, we've been paying over $100 for decades. What are you talking about?
But $750 is where the PS5 started. It's now $799.
Now it's yeah. And this is also
$500 more.
Might I just also add that out of all of the generations, this is the only generation where the hardware had a price increase.
Yeah.
That is unbelievably stupid. Like, considering that we had the PS3 was being sold at an unbelievable loss when it first came out. If I remember correctly, I think the Blu-ray drive in it alone was like over 80% of the cost.
I think the difference there, though, is that the technology was new. It was the whole thing behind, like, the HD DVD versus Blu-ray, right?
Yeah.
Blu-ray was expensive when it first came out as someone who was selling those units.
Yeah.
Right? And then, much like DVDs and VCRs that came before it, Blu-rays just got cheaper, and it reached the point where you could go to Kmart and buy one for $30.
Yeah.
And at that point, putting a Blu-ray drive in a console became significantly cheaper. But
now it's flipped on its head because the whole optical drive manufacturing has dropped off considerably because PCs decided to kind of abandon it. So now we don't really even have like Blu-ray players all that much anymore.
No.
So the concept of an actual optical drive is now actually a bit of a premium thing because they don't get made en masse like they used to.
Yeah.
Even so, like, I think it would still be cheaper than what you expect. Like, it should be. The premium that we're being expected to pay right now. Again, it's tinfoil hat theory, and this is just conjecture. I feel like it's Sony being like, we say it, they pay it. Like,
we're Sony, fuck pants.
I
hate pants.
I love that comic.
I think that's a really interesting theory. Like, I never thought of it like that because, unlike you, I don't have any business sense. But mine was cut out. But my initial feeling when I heard the price tag was thinking about the PS3. And that's not a good feeling. That's not. And I wonder if, because I think there's been a few people who have had that, like, over $1,000. We didn't have that until the fucking PS3. That's
and even
like,
then, it still hit $999.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Like, I wonder if that negative connotation actually has hurt them. But I mean, that's just like my sort of subjective outside view. That was the initial sort of feeling I got.
Look, I reckon this is going to be something we come back and revisit when the PS5 Pro is actually a thing. It's in, God bless them, Digital Foundry's hands, and they can pick it apart to know tomorrow.
Well, okay, let's just base it off of the information that PlayStation have given us.
Curated.
Right? Yeah, have curated. If that's what they've curated, let's say it is curated, right? That is not worth what, a $400 markup from what the
For us, it's a $500.
$500
Yeah.
markup from the that is not worth
No.
at all. If it's curated. If it's
Yeah.
not, it's worse than that.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely not. So
And look, to be honest, the expectation you can have is that it will be worse than that because the numbers that they get are always, this is the cream of the crop. It could be like
And I
1
mean-
out of 50 attempts at a
Totally.
benchmark.
yeah, that's when they're benchmarking it. They'll be running their most smooth game on it. Like they'll be trying to get it as
Yeah.
fast and
And also, like,
moving as possible.
one thing, depending on also the games that you play, if you play Ratchet and Clank, Uncharted, Last of Us, those Sony games, you know all those Sony games will get a pro update. My favorite
true.
game of this year is Alone in the Dark.
Yeah,
That company doesn't exist anymore. They folded.
right.
Yeah.
There's never going to be an update for that
But
to
you're-
make it pro compatible.
No, you're incorrect. You forgot about the pisser.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I did forget about the pisser. Well, it can just piss off.
Oh,
Right.
can we
It's-
talk about AI upscaling real quick and how?
Well, the point I was trying to make is that according to Sony's claims, all games will get the PS5 Pro upgrade.
Cool.
Because-
Are they going to come in and upgrade my TV while they're at it?
Nope.
Well, guess I am not going to notice any difference then.
Nettie, what did you want to raise on this topic?
So I think there have been instances of taking a game, going, we AI upscaled it, and then they touch it up to make it look like proper instead of just like fucked up AI, right? And it's worked out for some people, and for others it hasn't. Rockstar, but I think just having a thing that generally AI upscales your games is fucking travesty. Like, I've seen so many people, they're like, oh, look at this AI upscaled video on YouTube. We took this animation, we took this cartoon, and we AI upscaled it, and it just fucks with all the animation principles of how someone worked really hard to make that. And I don't know. I can't fucking stand it. So that actually doesn't excite me. That is not a selling point for me.
Look, honestly, it's what I will say is that the use of AI, I think you can like put an asterisk on it.
Oh yeah, it needs
Right?
one.
Like, I do think it needs something like the idea of super sampling is technically AI, but it's not AI as we've been led to believe. And at this point, I think the whole AI sampling thing that Sony have used is a marketing play.
Yeah.
Have you used super
Blast
sampling?
processing.
Right. Have you used
That's
super
what I'm gonna
sampling on
fucking call
PC
it.
at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay. In that regard, as your friend, I would say you don't have much to worry about, and it should actually excite you. It's not an AI picking and choosing things, right? It is literally a algorithm expanding an image by basically deciding what neighboring pixels should be. And it uses that to make a clearer, larger image faster.
Okay.
It's not like, I know the horror shows that you're thinking of,
Yeah.
but honestly, you can do this at, like, if you've got an NVIDIA graphics card on your PC,
Yeah.
you can switch on super sampling, give it a go. And honestly, the results, like, I've used it in Cyberpunk, I've used it in Tomb Raider. The results are actually insane. And that's one thing. Like, if I could get a PS5 Pro at a reasonable price point,
Yeah.
that'd be the thing that excites me, because
Okay.
I've got a 4K OLED TV,
Yeah.
right? I've got a nice TV. Like, anything that can get that looking nicer.
Yeah, totally. No, I think that's fair. Like, I don't know enough about it. I'm just sort of like attributing it to upscaling things that people do on like other people's animations and like I said, I think AI can be a great tool if used, deliberately, and as a tool, not as a sort of art creation device.
And I think this is going to play into sort of more what your sensibilities are, Nettie.
Yeah.
In that there are going to be art forms that kind of upscaling is not going to be advantageous at all.
Yeah.
Like, I can't see how having a sharper image is going to make Journey a better game.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought
Yeah.
as well.
I don't think that something like Pacific Drive is going to like have any kind of advantage at having AI. The other thing as well that I really want to talk about is this whole ray tracing and how everyone sort of feels like it's some be all end all going to fix everything.
So,
ray tracing is very overrated.
You know what we need more of? Good writers.
Yeah, they should.
So,
you know what? The good ones should strike or something.
Yeah.
just before we pivot away from the super sampling and the AI-driven upscaling and stuff like that, the thing I will say to it is, you touched on it before, the amount of people that were like, we can't see the difference. That is the point. It is achieving a higher frame rate without needing to change necessarily the image that you're seeing. It's being able to process an image faster.
Yeah.
And that's the point I'm getting at. Like, it's just sampling that image. When it comes to ray tracing, I'm really upset about where we ended up with ray tracing.
Yeah.
Because I was studying it when it was like first becoming a thing. Ray tracing's been around for fucking ages.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Microsoft was like, look at this, like, we've got RTX graphics cards, R standing for ray tracing, that are now powerful enough that we can implement this in games. And literally, ray tracing is just realistic light refraction.
Right.
Right?
Well, there is. Okay, wait. No, there is more to it than that.
No, at its core, dumbing it down for someone is that's what it does, right? You set a light source. Well, this is what ray tracing is, right?
No, that's okay, wait. We really do need to preference this. This is a form of ray tracing implementation.
Look, I'm not.
Lighting is not the
gonna
be all
fuck
end all.
with it until they add gay tracing for progressive reasons.
No.
Okay?
No, I need you to understand that this is actually ray tracing.
Yeah, no, it's a form.
No. What has encompassed it is more than it should be. This is literally ray tracing as it was. The idea behind it in video games is light sources and shadows and reflections and stuff like that have all been programmatically built into a game.
Baked into the actual graphics.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas ray tracing, the idea is that you are realistically processing an actual light path.
Right.
So rather than... Stop.
Sorry.
I studied it, motherfucker.
I know you have,
Hold
but
on,
this
hold
is the thing that's annoying me is that...
Oh, let Pat finish his
that's
thing,
what-
and then
right?
you,
Yeah, and
you
then I'll-
rebut,
no,
and I'll-
This is
I'll
a very,
enjoy
very
it.
watered down explanation,
Right.
right?
So if you see a puddle of water,
not non-ray traced,
Yeah.
you have light source
yeah,
that casts shadow.
Yeah.
And then if you have like a puddle or a window or something like that and you want a reflection in it, you're basically rendering the image twice.
yeah, you
Right?
either make a second image that appears in the image of the
Yeah.
puddle,
Blah,
or
blah, blah,
you
blah, blah,
have
blah.
like what?
Right? Ray tracing, you set a light source, and the rays that come from that
I
light
see.
source are quite often AI driven, but it takes a lot of processing power to follow an actual path. That's tracing the ray,
All
right?
Okay.
But that's not just, the light comes here, it bounces off there, it bounces off there, it bounces off there.
Yeah.
It can also be, this is a glass surface,
Yeah.
and we give it glass properties.
Right.
And so light will bounce off that, which will bounce off your face, which then in turn creates a reflection,
Right.
right? It is currently the most realistic way to make proper reflections.
Does it also account for the light going through the glass as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. There are, like, I highly recommend, Microsoft did, when RTX first became a thing, they did a whole bunch of stuff in Minecraft and set up specific light blocks and water blocks and glass blocks to show how light changed in different things.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Minecraft would be a great,
Okay,
like...
now try and explain to me why I'm wrong.
Okay, because you've put it into practice of just light sources.
Okay.
Ray tracing is giving any form of an origin and then having a certain... The ray is that you start with a particular intensity and it dies off over a period of space.
Just like
No.
Ray Romano.
Yes.
No.
Sound can be done in ray tracing.
The point I'm trying to make is that that's not ray tracing, but people have started calling it that.
No, it's this. Okay,
No, it's a similar theory,
What Pat is
but it's
saying
not
very
ray
nicely-
tracing.
Yeah,
It's-
what Pat
okay.
is saying very nicely is you're wrong, Grant.
I'm getting that. He's saying
No,
he's
I-
saying it very nicely. I will say.
I understand, like programming the Doppler effect into a game,
Yeah.
which if you don't know is the "Nyum," right, where something is louder closer to you and then dissipates, right? And I understand people calling that ray tracing. It is ray tracing like, but it's not actual ray tracing.
No,
it is just sound
it's-
design. It is sound placement design. It is spatial audio. It is a different thing. And it
I
is,
think we're
it's
arguing
okay.
semantics again.
Again, that's it. Spatial. But the thing is, what the people who are actually trying to advance
Guys, help me.
what ray tracing is,
Please.
they are saying, okay, because like for example, if you hear a gunshot, all right, it's on the bottom of the hill on the other side. It has a certain reverberance, certain sound that you'll hear that is different from if you're standing next to the gun. But also, if that exact same gun fires from the exact same distance, but it's around a corner in a corridor, the way that the sound echoes and ricochets is different. That is the same principle as what ray tracing is used for lighting, and that's why it's
Is
They're
it
very
the
narrow.
same principle as the lighting? Or is it a is it a principle that sort of elicits a similar
because it starts from an
outcome.
origin. It starts from an
Sure.
origin, and then it's essentially drawing a line to where it will hit a particular
can I
piece of like.
I feel like I need to interject
I
again.
can see that.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. This is very close to my heart. No.
Okay, because there's
So-
a third
so
one as
the-
well,
no.
which is annoying me that you haven't
That's
brought it
ray
up.
no.
tracing.
The-
Let's go.
Very much so.
The only like thing that I can think falling into it, there is a subset of like ray tracing physics, which is similar principles applied to aspects of game engine design and stuff like that. But it's not for sound. Sound doesn't work that way. I understand what you're saying, and I know people call it ray tracing.
No.
It's not ray tracing.
We're talking about it in a digital it's settings. So the reason why ray tracing is just an origin, a line that is drawn, and the diminishing effect of distance and hitting off particular surfaces and things like
I
that.
will agree to disagree that I am talking about ray trace lighting and you are talking about ray trace physics, because the more you break it down,
Yeah,
the
because
more
remember
it's
when we used to have physics cards? Remember when they used to be a thing?
well aware of that, sir.
And guess why they got rid of them?
It wasn't because of ray trace.
It was
physics.
because software caught up to it,
I know.
and we didn't need the hardware anymore.
Okay.
And guess what the principles are? Ray tracing. That's the principles.
Not.
It's just that you can use it with, and also lighting
Look,
effects.
I'm just gonna cry some other time. Nettie, did you have anything to add before we wrap up?
No, I think this was a good conversation. Thanks, guys. I'm happy. that you
I
guys
will
invited
say
me to this one.
I will say you'll have much more participation in the next recording.
Honestly, no. I honestly had a blast, and I learned a lot from this. It was good listening to you guys. I feel like I contributed some stuff, but it was nice to just let you guys talk because you both have like really interesting points of view. And I think what was interesting is we all sort of came away with a similar sort of agreement on the similar
Similar
opinion
result
on the
from
PlayStation.
different. Yeah.
And then at the same time, sort of differing
from
views on
different-
where we think
yeah.
consoles and PCs are gonna go. But at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, it was interesting. I think all of them are sort of very viable.
I feel bad doing this, but I feel like I have to because we haven't let him speak that much.
Dan,
No, it's
Dan,
absolutely,
how you doing?
it's absolutely
Do you
true.
have a Nettie News Network update before we wrap up?
yes. All right.
Are you sure you really want to open this Pandora's box? I mean,
All right. So
look, I love Nettie as much as the next guy, but we do have to temper our sanity.
Nettie's-
Just
okay,
remember the social contract of this podcast
Yeah,
and
yeah.
know that if you toe the line or step over it, it may be wiped from existence.
yeah, no, that's fair. So we'll actually, speaking of toes, the top 10 feet in video games. We're gonna start with 2B. I think she's number one.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. This has been the Finally Press Record podcast. I've been
Zelda,
Pat.
but
Finally, press stop! Please!
Specifically the one from
Press stop, press stop.